No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for October 25th, 2023. We are getting closer and closer to the Full Gear pay-per-view. That is, I believe, November 18th, 2023. We kicked off Dynamite with something a little bit different. We had Renee Paquette backstage with MJF, the world champion. MJF called up his buddy, Adam Cole, but was quickly interrupted by Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong said that he thinks MJF is the one wearing the devil mask, doing these attacks, but if MJF isn't, Strong said maybe he can help out MJF. And MJF responded by pushing away Roderick Strong. And then MJF came to the ring for his match against Juice Robinson for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. He went right after Juice. He threw Juice over the timekeeper's table. Juice was busted open, but then even MJF is the stupid babyface. He turned his attention to the guns at ringside, and that allowed Juice to gain the upper hand. He sent MJF into the steps and then gave MJF a DDT on the apron. Jay White, who still has possession of the AEW World title, he showed up on the stage to watch the match. And after the commercial break, MJF started to make a comeback, busted out the kangaroo kick, but then the guns tripped MJF from the outside. Juice regained the upper hand. He hit the Juices loose, but MJF kicked out. And then the referee was distracted with the guns. Juice grabbed his ring from TJ Maxx. He pulled it out. He was going to use it, but MJF beat him to the punch. MJF hit Juice with the Dynamite Diamond Ring and got the 1-2-3 victory to retain his ring. No real surprise here. MJF won, as I figured he would. And he also took out the guns with the ring, but then they jumped back in and attacked MJF when the match was over. The Kingdom rolled Roderick Strong down, and the Kingdom attempted to make the save, but they were quickly thrown back out of the ring. So the Acclaimed ran down, and the Bullet Club Gold fled the ring. Then Jay White got on the microphone and said that MJF should forget about all of the potential challengers for the title, like Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe and Wardlow, because he has the Bang Bang belt. And then the Guns said that they want an opportunity at the tag team titles, the Ring of Honor tag team titles, at Full Gear. MJF accepted the match, so MJF once again will be pulling double duty. He'll be defending the ROH tag team titles, at least at this point, by himself against the Guns. And then he also accepted the 4-on-4 match for next week's show. Bullet Club Gold versus MJF and 3 partners of his choosing. The Acclaimed wanted the spot, but MJF said he is not going to tag with Max Caster. Caster at least wanted some scissoring, but MJF would not scissor him. MJF left the ring, and then as he was about to walk to the back, Kenny Omega showed up and said that he has something that MJF wants. MJF needs some tag partners. Omega said that MJF has something that he wants, and that's the AEW World Championship. And on top of that, Kenny Omega wants to defend his streak of being the longest reigning AEW champion. And in about 5-6 days, MJF will break that record. So MJF proposed a match for this Saturday's Collision. Kenny Omega to challenge MJF on Collision. Omega accepted. They went for the handshake, but then Omega pulled him in and said, 3 days, bitch. So it is official. This Saturday, they will be fighting for the AEW World title. Now, I'm not surprised about this. I figured they were setting this up on last week's show. It's a big match. I mean, one of the biggest matches AEW can do. But it does seem weird to give this match away for free. Like, this is your first ever MJF and Kenny Omega match, and you're doing it for free on Collision. It's a bit of a bold play. It is possibly something that will draw a bigger than usual number for AEW. But yeah, I would not have put this on free television, that's for sure. I will be watching Collision this Saturday. So for those of you wondering, yes, I will be back here on the No DQ YouTube channel to give my thoughts. I will recap Collision this Saturday night. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. And if you're watching and you're liking this video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and tell a friend. I'll be back this Saturday night to talk about Collision. And Walter Cruz is right. They very well could do some sort of screwy finish here. Would not surprise me in the slightest. We had a Wardlow video package, another guy who's coming after MJF, and he talked about being in a dark place, sitting at home over the past several months. He said that MJF has done so much evil, and now Wardlow has had to watch MJF become the face of the company. The man that Wardlow beat main evented the biggest show in AEW history. And Wardlow's not happy about it. I'm liking this. I definitely think that they should keep building Wardlow and push him as a heel now against MJF. And I do like, as I mentioned last week, that there are several people wanting to go for that AEW World title. It makes the title feel like it's something important. So I am liking that. We had a tag team match in Philadelphia. ECW legend Rob Van Dam and Hook teaming up against John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. Dark Order were double teaming RVD. RVD was able to recover, and RVD even knocked Evil Uno off the apron. And later in the match, Dark Order worked over Hook. RVD got a hot tag, did some of his signature moves, including the Rolling Thunder. Then Hook came back in. Evil Uno tried to interfere with a steel chair. RVD kicked it into Uno's face and then came off the top with the 5-star frog splash on Reynolds. And Hook beat Silver with Red Rum. Exactly what this needed to be. I mean, RVD and Hook, I like the team. I think that AEW is doing a good job of utilizing RVD at this point. And, Hook gets elevated from this. So I definitely like it. And Dark Order in the position they should be at this point, putting over some other people. We had a little Tony Storm film shown during the picture-in-picture, and more on Tony Storm in a few moments here. I forgot to mention that Wardlow was doing his promo at the Rocky Steps. I did forget to mention that. That was a fun little excursion when I was in Philadelphia a few years ago. And of course, everybody's doing it. You go there, and all these people are running up and down the steps. It's so funny, but it's a cool spot. Definitely. If you're going to Philadelphia for WrestleMania 40, like I feel you have to do the Rocky steps. Like that's one of the main tourist attractions. You got to have like a real Philly cheesesteak and stop by the ECW arena. But yeah, it was fun. They even got the statue of Sylvester Stallone as Rocky there. It's pretty cool. We had Tony Schiavone speaking to Sting and Darby Allin in what was probably the most, well, I would say the most newsworthy segment of the show. Darby Allin's arm was in a sling, by the way. Sting put over Philadelphia. He put over Darby for being the best tag team partner he's ever had. He thanked Tony Khan for giving him a chance to wrestle just a little bit longer. Schiavone then brought up how Tony Khan had a special gift for Sting. And this was hyped up on social media. They had the graphic. Tony Khan has a gift for Sting. So what was that gift? Was it a giant box with Cactus Jack inside? No. Was it a new Joker outfit? No. It was the 16-time world champion. Yes, the man, the one and only Nature Boy Ric Flair, finally making his debut for AEW. I believe he was going to debut a few years ago, but then that Dark Side of the Ring Plane Ride from Hell episode aired, and Tony Khan decided, you know what? There's too much heat here right now. So they did not bring in Ric Flair. But now the heat has died down. Now everything's okay, right? Ric Flair comes out there, and you get the big moment with him and Sting, which was very cool. You know, it's a nice nostalgic moment. Flair and Sting reuniting in yet another promotion. They've reunited so many times over the years in various companies, AEW, TNA, probably on the indie scene. So Flair got on the mic, of course. You have to have Ric Flair cut a promo. And yeah, thank you, Matthew. Flair was supposed to be Andrade's manager before that Dark Side of the Ring interview. So Flair put over Sting, as you would expect him to. And he also gave Sting a playful chop. But then the son of a bitch, Christian Cage, had to interrupt the segment. He said he likes the movement from Ric Flair. It doesn't feel like he's watching Weekend at Bernie's. And he said if there was a God, Ric Flair would have been dead 20 years ago. Damn. Christian with another harsh line there. And Christian said he's going to give Darby one more chance to get in the ring with him because Christian doesn't want Sting gone at Revolution. He wants Sting gone sooner than that. So he proposed a 6-man tag team match at Full Gear and said that they could pick Flair, although it would just take one super kick to knock out his pacemaker, or they could find another partner. Sting responded by accepting the match, and I presume Flair's not going to be in the match because Sting basically said they're going to find a partner for this. So there you go. We got a 6-man match, and more on that in just a few moments. And the gist of this is that it looks like Ric Flair will be making more appearances, and this wasn't just a one-off. Like he's going to be part of this Sting retirement tour and maybe be out there with Sting and Darby in their corner. And people are probably wondering, like, does this affect Charlotte Flair? I don't think so. I'm sure Triple H is cool with Rick making a little bit of extra money. Why not? We had a Renee Paquette sit-down interview with Chris Jericho about Jericho's loss to Will Hobbs. Jericho said he did not see it coming, and now he's self-reflecting. Should he step back for a little bit, or should he get stronger and come right back at the Don Callis family? And he said that Callis does have friends, but so does he. And he said he has a friend who is bigger than Will Hobbs. And maybe it's time to give that person a call. Well, I think I have an idea who this might be. Jericho used to team with a guy who was very big. What was their name? Jericho. Would not be surprised if it's Paul White who Chris Jericho brings in, and we get the Jericho reunion in AEW. On commentary, they even said, I think Taz said, like, I don't really know too many people bigger than Will Hobbs. So they're really hyping up that this is a big guy. Pretty sure it's the Big Show, and he has the history with Chris Jericho. So I think that's where this is going. And sure, why not? I'm down with it. We then had a match for the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles. Can't believe that's a thing. Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page versus the Hardys and Brother Zay, who is Isaiah Cassidy. That's his new name, or maybe he's been using it for a while. I don't really watch Rampage, so if he changed his name a long time ago, I must have missed it. Anyways, it was a pretty solid match here. Standard 6-man tag team match here. Challengers got in quite a bit of offense. It was competitive, but in the end, Elite got the win. Jeff had come off the top with the Swanton, but the pin was broken up, and then the Elite finished off Zay, buckshot lariat, and then the BTE trigger. Champs retain. No surprise. Jeff actually did not take the fall in this one. And then after the match was over, we had this angle where Swerve Strickland invaded the home of Adam Page. He went to the refrigerator and ripped a picture that Page's kid drew. And then he went into the bedroom. There was a crib. And Swerve started talking to the baby who was apparently there with nobody else around. So yeah, the plot thickens here as Swerve takes it a step further, invading the home of Hangman Adam Page. We then had Adam Copeland interviewed backstage with Renee Paquette, but he was quickly interrupted by Darby Allin and Sting. Now, Copeland made it clear he's not going to wrestle against Christian. Darby told Copeland, don't be stupid. And then Sting said he can't believe that they're having the conversation. He said Copeland needs to take his blinders off before it's too late, and told Copeland to get over it. So I'm thinking Copeland's going to be the partner here, and it's going to be a 6-man, and they're going to save the singles match for just a little bit longer, which I get it. You know, have Sting team up with Adam Copeland before he retires. I get it. And they have another pay-per-view coming up. More on that in just a moment here. A new pay-per-view is coming. We had Ruby Soho versus Hikaru Shida, 9:25, the usual spot for the women's match. Match was all right, but not great. And the crowd was surprisingly quiet for this. I mean, they really like Shida, but there didn't seem to be much heat for this one. At one point, Ruby exposed the middle turnbuckle, and then acted like Shida used the spray paint that Ruby always uses. And while the referee was trying to figure out what the hell was going on, Ruby choked out Shida with like wrist tape or something, hit the destination unknown, but Shida kicked out. And then Shida hit a Falcon Arrow, but then Ruby reversed it into a pin attempt. Shida kicked out of it, and Ruby got sent into the exposed turnbuckle, and then Shida hit her knee strike and got the 1-2-3 victory to retain her championship. No real surprise here. And then afterwards, Toni Storm's music hit, and she showed up on the stage. Looks like she's going to be Shida's next major opponent here. I'm still confused. Is Toni Storm a heel? Is she a face? Like, what are they doing here with her? But, it's an interesting gimmick, and we'll see if we get yet another title change coming up. Backstage, interesting segment here. Samoa Joe met up with MJF and said that he'll be MJF's friend, but he wants his rematch for the AEW World Championship. I guess maybe MJF has Joe and Kenny Omega teaming up with him and somebody else. Maybe we get Wardlow teaming up in exchange for a world title match. It's interesting. The only negative of all this is that now it's a sure thing Omega's not winning, like as close to 100% as possible, because you got the Jay White storyline, so it wouldn't even make sense for Omega to win and then face Jay White at the pay-per-view. Plus, you're setting up Wardlow versus MJF for the title, and now you're potentially setting up Joe versus MJF again for the title. So yeah, like I don't see Kenny Omega winning. Even though, of all the people to beat MJF, Kenny Omega would be at the top of the list of guys that you think could do it. I just don't see it happening at this point in time. So to go with that earlier comment, would not shock me if like the House of Black interferes. Like they're feuding with the Elite now. So that would not shock me if there's some sort of screwy finish here. We had our main event of the evening. Okada and Orange Cassidy, Kazuchika Okada, hard to pronounce his name. They faced up against Bryan Danielson and Claudio. Now, before we get to the match, AEW did confirm another pay-per-view. They're moving into the monthly pay-per-view schedule now, which is going to sting for people that want to see every show. It's going to be $50 a month now unless AEW moves to a streaming service. But yeah, it's going to be World's End on Saturday, December 30th in Long Island, New York, which I wasn't expecting Jay White to beat MJF for the title, but now I feel like announcing this pay-per-view with the venue, Nassau Coliseum, Long Island, New York, MJF's hometown. I mean, this pretty much confirms to me that MJF will be champion until that event. And it's very interesting because we all know MJF with the bidding war of 2024. So yeah, they're going to build up to this last show of 2023 in MJF's hometown. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. But I would suspect MJF in the main event of that show in Long Island. We had Okada and Cassidy versus Bryan and Claudio. Bryan and Cassidy, this was the first time they ever competed in AEW in the ring together. I think maybe ever, actually. And then Okada and Claudio got in there and mixed it up for a while. Cassidy came back in and Blackpool Combat Club worked over him for a while. And then Okada tagged back in. Bryan was in there. Crowd chanted, "Holy shit," as they went back and forth for a few minutes. Then Cassidy and Claudio got back in there. And Cassidy Cassidy was doing the, Orange Cassidy kicks, but then started turning up the intensity level. Then Claudio caught him, went for the big swing, but Cassidy countered out of it. Went for the orange punch, but Claudio caught him. Finally hit the big swing, and then put on the sharpshooter. Okada broke it up. Then Orange Cassidy hit the punch to Bryan. Okada came in with the Rainmaker to take out Bryan. Claudio managed to send Okada out of the ring and then caught Cassidy with an uppercut and got the 1-2-3 victory. I was a little surprised. I did not think Okada would lose in this tag match, although it was Cassidy who took the fall. And, they did set up next week. They did announce that per Tony Khan, because Claudio pinned Orange Cassidy, he'll be getting a match coming up on next week's show. And then officials were checking on Bryan, and, it looked real, even though, like, they were saying, oh, he got hit with the orange punch, he got hit with the Rainmaker. But yeah, you had the people checking in on him. Blackpool Combat Club was out there, and then Best Friends and Hook came out there, and there was a little bit of a stare down, and it was a little awkward. I'm not sure what was going on here, but match was very good. And overall, really good Dynamite. I definitely recommend checking out the main event. The MJF stuff was really good. And Ric Flair showed up. So it was a noteworthy show. I give it a B+. Very good Dynamite this week. And we'll see what they do on Collision. I suspect some shenanigans. But regardless, I'll be here Saturday night to recap the show. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest wrestling news and rumors. And say yeah to NoDQ.com. Pick up some merch at NoDQ.com/merch. And I will see you all next time.